Comic Book Savant, episode 346.
I know this. This I know. All that I have, all that is me, resides inside my poetry. And every time I write a rhyme, it might be the line that sets minds free. And also, I know that I don't...
Welcome to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This week, I'm going to be covering as much news as possible that came out of last week's San Diego Comic-Con. I normally try to do an episode each summer around this time, trying to recap as much of the news as possible pertaining to the things I normally cover on the show, so won't be as much as comics proper news. Figure you get that other places, but when it comes to the comics entertainment, the movie stuff that was covered, the television shows, video games, etc., those are the things I normally cover on my podcast. So those are the things that I'm going to be talking about this week on all the noise and the news, the noise, and the rumors that came out of San Diego Comic-Con. But before we get into all that, as always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. Again, if you like this podcast and you want to find more shows related to comic book related material and podcasts, it's a one-stop shop to go. There are literally hundreds of different podcasts listed there. Over at comicspodcast.com. They range from a show like myself, which is a single person podcast, to a roundtable type format, couples type format. It's so many different types, as well as different genres where you have individual character podcasts that focus on just one character, team related, publisher related. So whatever you're in the market for, you should be able to find something over at the Comics Podcast Network. Again, it's comicspodcast.com. If you have a moment, definitely stop by the site and check it out. You probably will find tons of things that you'll love over there. So definitely, when you get a moment, check it out. Last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, which is InStockTrades.com. If you are not familiar with the site, definitely check it out. If you're looking for collected editions, omnibus, be it softcover, hardcover, they have it. They have a huge selection. You get discounts ranging from 35 to 42 up to 50% off if you go with their deals of the week. Their deals of the week, they change on the front page of the website over at InStockTrades.com. Every week they have fresh deals. I mean, in the beginning they spotlighted about 5 books. It varies now. It can be 5 books. It can be 10. I've seen certain weeks it's been up to 15 different books, and it ranges from anything. So it's not just only like soft covers or new releases. Sometimes they have Masterworks at 50% off, omnibuses at 50% off. So definitely you want to check out at all times. Keep checking that homepage at InStockTrades.com. If you're a U.S. customer, you place an order that's $50 or more, you get free shipping, but that's all restricted within you being a U.S. customer and it being shipped within the U.S. If you're an international customer, unfortunately, you don't get that extra bonus. You still get all the great savings, but you wouldn't get that free bonus of free shipping. If you're an international customer, they do have really great international shipping rates, so you still save a ton. You just don't get the extra perk of hitting that threshold of $50 or more. Also, that segues into the contest that I'm currently running in cooperation with InStockTrades.com to give you guys some great gifts. I wasn't able to do last summer for the 10-year anniversary of the podcast a big giveaway. So InStockTrades.com was nice enough to provide 3 gift certificates, $75, $50, and $25 gift certificates to InStockTrades.com. All you need to do to register for the giveaway is just go to comicbooksavant.com. You go to the contact page. In that contact page, you would email me. In the subject line, you would put anniversary contest. It's 1 entry per winner. I just decided before I recorded today that I'm going to extend it out. It was originally the contest was going to end August 5th, and I was going to announce it for the anniversary episode that was going to be coming that second week in August. I decided to extend it to the end of August because I want to give you guys plenty of time, plenty of listeners the opportunity to go to the website and and register for the contest, because I want to give these away, it's my way of giving back to you guys for supporting the show for so long. And I didn't want the window to be so short, so I'm going to extend it out to August 31st. So you have till Thursday, August 31st to stop by comicbooksavant.com, go to the contact page and email me. But again, just put in the subject line, anniversary contest, 1 entry per listener. And then I randomly will pick 3 winners at the end of August, and I'll announce the first episode in September for you to get those gift certificates. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into San Diego Comic-Con 2017 and some of the news that came down. When we look at television, the main thing that caught my eye, and it was so much news, and I'll have to say this. I was hyped. I was hyped going into San Diego Comic-Con, maybe more so than ever in the past couple of years. I was kind of hyped. I'm like, okay, I'm in front of the computer. I got YouTube open. I got the sites open. I'm going to try, I knew I was going to put this episode together. So I was like, I want to gather as much news as possible. And like, soon as like Wednesday morning dropped last week, news start coming down, and it just seemed like it never stopped. And it was like so much. It was like sensory overload. So then I had to kind of go back and refine what the stuff that I'm going to cover. And this is just highlights. This is not every single thing, because I don't think one person, no matter how much effort I put in to try to sift through it all, could get all the news from San Diego Comic-Con. I imagine, different podcasts, maybe some people were there, had boots on the ground and did interviews and things like that. I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. So that was something that I couldn't give you coverage. Like, hopefully at one point, I would like to go to San Diego Comic-Con once in my lifetime. I haven't been yet. I've been to more smaller shows, mainly Heroes Con, because it's in my backyard. And I did the conventions through Comic Geek Speak when they've had get-togethers over the years. So I did those kind of like smaller scale type conventions and get-togethers, but I haven't been to like the mega shows. I haven't been to New York, Baltimore, places like that. I haven't been to those cons as of yet, but that's what I'm hoping to do at some point down the road. But with all that being said, we're going to start with TV news. First big thing was they dropped they announced the Walking Dead season 8 premiere date, which is going to be October 22nd of this year, which is about right. They always kind of premiere the show right around the time of Halloween, the week before, so forth. So that kind of falls in line with what they've been doing in previous years for their season premieres. That's the 100th episode of the show. They actually kind of coincide together. So that's kind of cool. Excuse me. Also, they announced the premiere date for Voltron, the Legendary Defender. It returns August 4th with 7 new episodes for Season 3. But then they said it's going to be a shorter season for Season 3, but Season 4 will be right back in October. So we're going to have 7 episodes in August, and then more. They didn't announce the number of episodes that will be in October, but they said this is going to be a shorter season, and the next, when they come back in October, that will be Season 4. So that's kind of cool. I reviewed season 1 and 2, and I know undoubtedly will do a review for season 3. I really love the Voltron Legendary Defender series. They did a real good job bringing that show back to life, staying, being somewhat true to the original roots of the 1984 Voltron cartoon, but updating it in a way that's respectful, but then building on that and then making it modern and making it its own thing at the same time. But if you're not familiar with that, it's done by the same producers of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. It's that same creative force behind that's doing this. So if you've liked those 2 shows and you haven't checked this out, all the seasons are on Netflix. It's a Netflix original show done by DreamWorks Animation. So definitely, and it's done in the art style. If you have seen Legend of Korra, it's done by that same animation house. So if you like that style of animation, it's very quality work. It's a really good show. So definitely, if you haven't, check that out. And I will put in the in the description on the site. I will put on the post the episodes where I reviewed season 1 and season 2, so you can go back and find those as well, so you can get my thoughts on those previous seasons as well. And then a ton of trailers dropped related to TV related news. Those were the two biggest things that I picked up on. Then I wanted to, since again it's Comic-Con, a lot of trailers are being shown, a lot of trailers are being released online. We got a ton of trailers, so I'm just going to go through quickly and talk about some of the trailers that dropped, and I'm going to give them a kind of score and kind of let you know what my feelings are in regards to them. We have Arrow. They did the Arrow. Gosh, I can't remember what season this is. Season 6, I think. Trailer, and I have to say it was a really good trailer. Didn't give too much away, but just they're showing that Deathstroke's going to be back. Manu Bennett's going to be back in that Deathstroke role coming up in this season. He's going to play some integral part in the season. It just looks like it's going to be really, really good. Kate Cassidy's coming back, but she's not coming back as Laurel Lance. She's going to be Black Siren, and they're saying, the producers were saying she's going to be full on villain. So I'm going to like that because she really works well. I think a lot of people got annoyed from her, Dyne, her Dinah Lance character, Laurel Lance character, excuse me, Dinah's her middle name. And some people liked it, some people hated it. It kind of skirted the line right in the middle. Certain things they did with her character, but as soon as they brought her back and had her play Black Siren, she plays a villain so well, and it gives her more, I think it gives her more depth and more to play with, and she even alluded to that in one of the video interviews I saw, I think she did with IGN, that she said it gave her so much more room to play with as an actor being a villain, and it's so much cooler and fun, so you can really tell. So she's going to be a series regular, so she's going to be really incorporated back into the Arrow universe. That's cool. I gave that trailer an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it keeps my anticipation high coming off the great season that was last season on Arrow. We got a new teaser trailer for The Flash. It kind of left me where I am. It kind of, in a way, confirmed my worst fears that more than likely Barry's going to be back sooner than later into the season. So it feels like they've done a retread of this over and over again, because it seems like what they're showing, because they haven't been filming too long for the episodes that's going to be coming out this season, and it seemed like the teaser they showed was a lot from the first episode, the premiere episode. And the villain is like this futuristic samurai, and he's demanding that Wally comes or he's going to destroy the city, and they're trying to find a way to pull him out of his Speed Force prison. So it's like, is he going to be back at the end of the first episode, all over again? And I hope not. It remains to be seen, but I have to give this trailer a 6 out of 10. It did not do anything to move me or make me anticipate the season more. Will I follow it? Yes, because I talk about it and I review it, and I enjoy the show, and I really enjoy the cast of the show. I just don't know what the writers are doing at this point, but I'm not super enthused about the direction the show's going, even already for the new season, based off that trailer. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Supergirl kind of put me in the same space. I like Supergirl. I think it's fun. I love the cast of characters, and they do such a good job in the roles that they play and the characters they play. But just where I feel about my level of anticipation for where the show might be going, it looks interesting, but it didn't wow me in any way of like, gosh, I can't wait to see this. I feel like it'll be entertaining. It'll be a solid show. So it kind of left me where I left off. It's like, it's good, not great, decent, not good, and good, not great. So it kind of is that middle of the road right now. But I do think it has potential for sure. So I gave that trailer a 6 out of 10 as well. Legends of Tomorrow, that one did a little bit more for me. I wasn't really feeling how the season ended, and I spoke about that when I did my season reviews of all the shows, that it kind of left me kind of meh and kind of flat, and I wasn't really kind of feeling it. It seems like this season is really going to be fun, and like I said, I feel like they have the most leeway in the cast of characters. They developed them so well last season, even though if the story failed at other points, the character development that was there because it was so lacking in the first season. And this was a show, and they talked about it, and I saw a lot of IGN did a really awesome coverage on it. So they interviewed a lot of these people, and they were interviewing them, and they were saying they had the actor, I'm seeing his face, and I know him because I used to love him on Alias, but that plays Dr. Stein. It was him and the guy that plays Jack, so they both combined play Firestorm. And they were speaking on they didn't even shoot a proper pilot, so they didn't know what they were getting into. So the first season of the show was super for them, even as actors. They didn't know what they were getting into, so it was a lot of growing pains, and they felt like they've really started to find their footing, and it seems like this is going to be super fun. The show's just really wild and all over the place because they're jumping through different times, and that's what makes it fun. So even though my initial reaction to the season finale was kind of meh, this kind of ticked up my excitement a little bit because it just seems fun, and it seems like they're really building off of the character choices and decisions that were made off the previous season, and you're seeing a lot more of that, and that developed even more, and that's what makes that, to me, that's the core of that show. I gave that trailer a 7 out of 10. I'm a little bit more hyped going into the season about the direction that show is going to go for this upcoming season. Then we got another Inhumans trailer, which I don't know if I spoke on the show about the first trailer, which wasn't much. It was a teaser, like with a voiceover. They've done a few, but they brought out this newer trailer for Inhumans, showing a little bit more action, giving you a little bit more background on the story related to the Inhumans world that we're going to get in a television show. I don't know. It still looks a little bit made for TV, even more so because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has built up over time. So the special effects that they kind of use, they kind of perfected that. And this kind of looks a little low rent in a way and kind of cosplayish. It looks a little bit more cleaned up because they've had a little bit more time. But this is going to be in theaters in just a little bit over a month. And like the beginning of September is the first, 2 episodes are going to be released in theaters in IMAX. And I'm not seeing the wow factor on something like that to be like, oh, wow, this is going to be in IMAX. It's kind of like, it looks okay. It's not mind-blowing. Interesting, but not mind-blowing. Will I watch it? Sure, because I want to cover it. And I hope they do something good, with it. I've always thought the Inhumans were pretty cool. So, I hope they do them justice on the small screen, and, it has a good run because I think it's only set to be 8 episodes right now. So I hope they do a great job. It seems like they have a really solid cast, but like the costumes and like the special effects, though, I've seen like all the money's going to Lockjaw because Lockjaw looks awesome and I love him. And I've always loved Lockjaw, just like the coolest dog ever. So that he looks awesome. They nailed that. If they didn't do anything right in that trailer, they nailed Lockjaw. I give them props for that. So I give that trailer a 6 out of 10. When it comes to The Walking Dead, they did a trailer, essentially. And I asked a question in the discussion group, and some people were responding. I thought it was funny. I was like, am I the only one that still like reads the Walking Dead comic or like watch the show? And I see comments at times like on YouTube videos where I see reviews and like people are like, are you still watch that show? Does anyone still care about it? And I feel like a lot of that has to blame with the producers, and I've talked about this as well, so I'm not going to dive back deep into it. But just the pacing of the show and what have you throws it off. It is still a pretty good show when you watch it. It's very less frustrating than what it had been in like the earlier seasons and the dramatic changes they did with certain characters like the governor and Andrea. they've really been pretty faithful to the comics over the last season particularly, and it looks like they're trending in that way from, with certain modifications, because things have been portrayed differently on the TV show compared to what happened in the comics. But relatively, it is a they used this, especially this last season, they made modifications, but still it's very steeped heavily. They're using that as a guideline, and they're making modifications around it. But it's pretty, if you've read the comics, the direction what the show's going. We kind of got the beginning of All Out War at the end of last season, so going into season 8 here, it's gonna be All Out War probably. And leading into the aftermath of All Out War. Reason why I say that, it was a very kind of cryptic, kind of weird trailer, and then at the end it kind of like they did like a quiet showing faces, then they did another, then it like transitioned, and the next part of the trailer transitioned into was action shots, and then it transitioned to, it went blurry, and then it focuses in, and you see the walking stick. And you see the walking stick that the older Rick has, and then you see Rick laying in the bed with a beard similar to where they did the jump in time after All Out War. And so I'm assuming if he has the walking stick, that means something's going to happen to his hand, in this. So he might have the prosthetic limb on his one side. I'm thinking, but they didn't really reveal that. But when I saw the walking stick, like they literally like went from blurry back into focus, and they focused for like a few seconds on the walking stick, and then they just show him kind of in the bed with the bushy beard, like how he has in the comics now, and he's waking up in the bed, and he like is opening up his eyes. So, and he looks just like Rick from the comics now. So I'm assuming they're going to like maybe the first part of the season is going to be All Out War, and then the second is going to be after this time jump of, I think it was like 3 years or so that they did the time jump, or maybe it was 3 or 5 years. I am trying to remember off the top of my head, but it was a substantial time jump that they're going to do. And for maybe the second half of the season, maybe getting ready to set up the Whisperer War. So they're pretty much up to, staying in line and staying pretty current to what the events that recently happened in the comics at this point. So I don't know how that's going to work. And, it's all about execution at this point. I didn't, what I enjoyed last season, but it kind of tapered off the second half of the season for me compared to the first half. So I gave that trailer a 7 out of 10. They dropped another Defenders trailer. This is right around the corner, like August 18th, which is my daughter's birthday, which is a week after my birthday. So I'm kind of hyped for that. It looks fun. It just looks fun. I know certain people that were there at Comic-Con got a chance at the panel for it. I think they showed the first episode. Reviews have been pretty solid, that it's fun, and they're giving it pretty good reviews. So that's cool. I'm just ready to see the whole thing on my own, to make my own determination. So that, that's, literally a little, well, it's just a couple of weeks away, actually, because we're pretty much at the end of July. This is like the last full week or so of July. So it's 3 weeks away roughly before that drops. So looking forward to that for sure. That's all the stuff I had under TV news. For movie news, there was a lot of announcements that was coming out. One of the smaller announcements, but what I thought was very interesting, that Todd Mcfarlane did announce that he is directing a Spawn movie, and it's going to be done by Blumhouse Films. That they're good for doing these small like horror films, like Get Out, et cetera, et cetera. I don't watch horror movies, but I know Get Out was a colossal hit that Blumhouse Films put out last year. It did gangbusters. The Jordan Peele directed his directorial debut movie, so they're gonna go in cooperation with him to release a Spawn movie that's going to be a rated R horror movie. They didn't announce anything as far as cast or anything along that line, so we don't know when that's coming out, but they did announce he will be the one directing it, and that should be interesting. But I know he was close. He had really been close with Rob Zombie, so he might have learned some stuff and, been around sets. And I know he was fairly involved in the old Spawn movie that was done back in the late 90s or early 2000s. So it'll be interesting to see what his vision of Spawn is. Will I go see it? Doubt it. But it would be interesting. I probably will have to cover it because I was when I took a hiatus from comics, Spawn was actually the comic. Spawn issue 8, I was a junior in high school, was the comic that actually triggered me back into comics collecting to where I've been since. So just based on that alone, maybe I won't go to the movies to see it, but I definitely probably will check it out once it hits home video. It depends how good it looks, but time will only tell from that. We got some news. We got a ton of news from the Marvel panel. We got some info about Captain Marvel that is going to be set in the 90s, and it will feature Skrulls, which I thought is going to be interesting. And they said it's also going to be a prequel that predates even Iron Man 1. Sam Jackson will be in there as Nick Fury with both of his eyes. This is before his incident where he lost the sight in the one eye. What else came out? Michelle Pfeiffer has been cast as Janet Van Dyne in the Ant-Man and the Wasp sequel. And I think I'm not sure if they were saying also that she plays some kind of role in the Captain Marvel movie, because we do know that no, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe I just misread that. Because I'm trying to remember when they said in Ant-Man, as far as the time frame when Janet got lost in the microverse or whatever. So I can't remember on that. I don't know if it's going to be any crossover on that or not. But we do know that Ant-Man and Wasp were kind of around in that time frame from the beginning, the opening scene in Ant-Man. So I don't know where they're saying that she's going to be involved and have some role in that movie, but she definitely will be in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But it'll be interesting to see that this predates. We already knew Ant-Man predated Iron Man and had dealings with S.H.I.E.L.D. and we, that Peggy Carter and et cetera. So we do know that superheroes were around before the time of Iron Man, kicking off this modern era that kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. DC dropped, mad information as well. They did confirm Justice League Dark is still a thing. Green Lantern Corps is still coming out. They gave an official title to the Matt Reeves Batman movie. It will be called The Batman, and he's wanting it to be a trilogy. That's another little tidbit that came out in and around the Comic-Con week. Batgirl, Shazam, Flash, and they did confirm that the Flash movie will be based on the Flashpoint storyline, and they confirmed that Wonder Woman 2 is a thing, and these are their next slate of movies that are going to be in development. Now, they did confirm a release date for Shazam, which is going to be, I want to say April 5th, 2019. If you go back a couple of episodes when I said fixing the DCEU, that is the date that I called. I called it. I thought that was so interesting. But again, I based what I was, speaking of, based on the dates and that they had previously, announced and kind of put out there. I'm going back looking at the notes now, and is pretty much what I suggested. Cyborg, they didn't say anything about. I thought that was interesting, and like I said to you guys on that episode, I think that movie is going to be canceled at some point. We did get confirmation that David F. Sandberg is, attached, and that's going to be the next movie going in front of cameras is going to be Shazam. They're going to hit that April 5th, 2019 release date, like I figured. And what did disappoint me out of the information that they did announce about the upcoming slate of movies that they're going to have in production. Still no Man of Steel sequel. I thought that was very, very interesting that was the movie to kick off the DC, expanded universe and films, and we haven't gotten the proper sequel. I mean, yeah, we will have had him, in, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and of course he's going to play some part in Justice League. So I'm assuming we're going to get they didn't say any dates in relation to the Batman movie or even a Justice League sequel. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of that landscape pans out. But it looks pretty much like they're going the route, of the next, as far as released movies, because I don't know what's going to be fast track, because with this slate of movies, we're kind of they're set up. They said these movies are going to be coming out between now and 2020, so it's going to be really interesting. And I think they've been, in this time frame that they said they're putting a freeze on stuff, that they're really started with this slate. They're nailing down like where they want to go and how they want to do it, because Justice League Dark has been talked about and been in development for the longest time. Like right after Man of Steel was released, we first start hearing rumblings about Justice League Dark. Green Lantern Corps was a part of their initial slate. Will Green Lantern be a part of Justice League in some way? That'll be interesting to tell. But that's the only set in stone, release date. Like I said, they said these movies all are going to be coming out between now and the year 2020. So I guess, we still have those release dates that were they initially put out there when they put out their massive slate. So it's a lot of dates that are in there that were specified for movies that we don't have now. But we at least do know that Shazam, I nailed that date, that is going to be April 5th, 2019. So it looks like they said they want to start shooting that early next year, like very early next year. So they're gonna, that one is, I feel like some of these movies are gonna be fast tracked, and as soon as they get Flash worked out, I think that's gonna be super fast tracked. They're gonna try to get that out ASAP. So the next two movies after these that we might see on the big screen will probably be Shazam, then maybe the Flashpoint. I don't know if, Lord and Miller are going to be coming back around to it, because they said the script that they're going with now, or the basis of the script that they're rewriting now, was based off the treatment that was done by Lord and Miller. So, since they left Han Solo, are they going to play ball and come over and do this Flash movie that they were setting out to do? It remains to be seen. A lot of interesting stuff that we still need to learn about the DC, expanded universe at this point, and when these movies might be dropping. A ton of trailers dropped as well. We had a Justice League trailer, another Justice League trailer drop. Loved it. I thought it was just super fun. I think Ezra Miller as Flash and Jason Momoa as Aquaman are going to become stars off of this movie. I think they're going to become such rock stars after this movie drops. I gave the trailer a 9 out of 10. It just keeps my level of anticipation up and make me even more optimistic in the Justice League. I was worried about it. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of Rogue One, and it was still a great movie. So I'm just like, it's what that is, and news people have to cover it and spotlight that stuff. And I'm just gonna, as a fan, I'm just gonna sit back, and as a critic, as a fan and a critic, I'm just gonna let them do what they need to do to make the film, and then wait till it drops in front of me, and then I can judge it based on the finished product, not all the rumors and speculation and everything else I heard in the process, and just not focus on that at all. They dropped another trailer. Marvel dropped another trailer for Thor Ragnarok. That movie just looks colorful, fun, and it seems like they're pulling elements from Planet Hulk. They're pulling elements from my favorite Walt Simonson run of Thor in the 80s. I hope we get Better Ray Bill. We've seen Surtur. He looks BA. Oh my God, he looks awesome. And that shot at the end of the trailer with Thor diving towards him like this huge Surtur, and he's just straight rev back, ready to pop him in the face. Man, and Valkyrie, and they have it like it's a road trip, but it's a like a ragtag bunch of Thor, Hulk, Valkyrie, Loki. That looks like it's just going to be fun, like a total thrill ride. I love Thor as a character. I've talked about this over the years. I did that whole dissertation about the first Thor movie and how I felt about it, and the second movie. This is the first Thor movie that I'm like, Thor looks like, even though it's like an ensemble piece, that Thor looks like he's the star. This is a movie about Thor, and he's the, Hemsworth is being all out Thor on this, and they built the story around, though it has other elements, that it's a Thor centric story. And I'm looking forward to that because I think he's such a good actor, and he embodies all the characteristics. But I felt like the stories they wrote, the movies they built around him, didn't service him in the way they should have for the star that he is. I'm so hyped. So I gave that trailer an 8 out of 10. Can November come already so we can get Justice League and Thor? Like, can we please? Like, sooner the better. We got another trailer for the Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. I don't know how many of you guys liked the first Kingsman. I loved it. This is another movie that just looks like off the freaking rip, just like crazy. But that's what we love about the Kingsman. The first one was like that. It's like more of the same. Tatum Channing, Julianne Moore, Halle Berry. Man, there's Mark. They got Mark Strong coming back. Oh man, it just looks so bananas, and we don't have much longer for that because that comes out in September. So that's cool that we're getting a better kind of sense of what's going on, and they're just opening up the candy store. They let Matthew Vaughn do whatever the heck he wanted on this movie, and it looks like Kingsman times 10, like the first Kingsman times 10 for real. Some other trailers, not so much comic centric, but pop culture centric that I wanted to briefly mention. Pacific Rim Uprising. I enjoyed the first movie. It was fun. I'm on the fence on this one. This was kind of like, it wasn't a proper trailer. It was like a recruitment video for being a, what are they called? Whatever the pilots, the Jaeger pilots. And, we see, John Boyega front and center because he's playing the role of the Idris Elba character, his son. And it's okay. It didn't blow my mind. But it looks interesting though. Definitely looks interesting, and want to see where it goes because I enjoyed the first movie. And Ready Player One, I never read the book. It looks heavy pop culture, comic-ish. They're crossing over a lot of properties. You saw in the trailer, like they're the Iron Giant. You saw Freddy in it. You seen the DeLorean from Back to the Future. So they got a lot, and that was one of the big things where they said it was going to be a problem in making this movie because there was so many pop culture referencing the source material. Would they ever be able to get all the rights to do it on the big screen? And apparently, Steven Spielberg was able to pull it off because you're seeing a lot of branding and a lot of characters from other medium like crossing over in this movie. So it looks interesting, but I gave it a 6 out of 10. I gave the Pacific Rim 6 out of 10, and I gave this a 6 out of 10. It looks interesting. I don't know the source material for this to be like hype as some other people are that read the books, but I'm open to it. I'm definitely open to it. Last but not least, was some brief comic news that I did gather. And it's so weird that Comic-Con is so not about comics anymore. And you got to really dig to get all these other big headlines. But I kind of had to dig, and I saw some different interviews from the Marvel YouTube channel because they were doing interviews with certain creators and little odds and ends that I found that I thought that was interesting. One thing from DC, Frank Miller announced that him and John Romita Jr. are going to be doing a Superman Year One. I don't know, and no details were really spoken about it. Is it Superman in his, Dark Knight Returns universe, or Superman proper Year One? We don't know yet, and that's, I guess, a big question. Which one is it? Also over at DC, some other news we got was the Duke Thomas character, the Batman sidekick. He's getting his own ongoing series that's going to be called Batman: The Signal. We found out in one of the Batman Metal prequels that he has a metahuman gene, and so he has mutant, metahuman abilities. And they've manifested at this point, so he's evolved, and he's gonna be called the Signal. It's gonna be written by Tony Patrick. That'll be interesting. I read a little bit in the Batman comic about with Duke. I think he came out of the We Are Robin series as well, if I remember, because I read a couple of issues of that. So it seems interesting. I probably will check that out at least, because I love all things Batman. Also was an announcement at DC about Jeff Lemire and Ivan Reis spinning out of Batman Metal. Is going to be a new series that Jeff Lemire is going to be writing called The Terrifics, which is a team consisting of Mr. Terrific, Plastic Man, Phantom Girl, Metamorpho, and there's going to be some other characters that they haven't announced yet that are going to be coming, which seems interesting. Don't know how much I'll follow it or not. But it sounds interesting. I'm always new, when they're doing new teams and just treading new water. I'm always interested to give it a try. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it sinks. It just varies. Last but not least is on the video game front. Telltale Games, one of my favorite studios out there. I'm going to do a spotlight on them this week on the video on the YouTube channel. Do a video about trying to go deeper into Telltale Games. But if you like comic book video games, they announced their slate for the rest of 2017 and into 2018. They're doing a season 2 of their Telltale Batman series, which is going to be called The Enemy Within. The first episode of that, because they're episodic games, they normally are 5 episodes. Some of their series have run more, but on average, most of their series, when you buy it, the games cost around $25 or so, $25 to $30, and you get episodic content that tells a complete story, and your choices from episode to episode, you're picking your own, choose your own adventure, and your decisions from the first episode carry over to the next and the next and the next, and it can have a dramatic effect on how your game plays out, and I really love it. They've announced the season 2 of Batman, which is The Enemy Within, that starts the August 4th. They announced that they're going to be doing The Walking Dead. Is going to be season 4, but they announced this will be the final season of their Walking Dead series, which I'm kind of sad about because it's been so good. It's probably been the best Walking Dead story in any iteration of the time it's been out. And they're finally announced, due to fan demand, they're going to do on the season 2 of their Fables-related series, The Wolf Among Us, season 2. The Walking Dead final season is coming out 2018, and The Wolf Among Us season 2 is also coming out at 2018. But we will have the Batman, The Enemy Within, dropping starting in August. That probably will run through the end of the year, and they currently have on store shelves now the Telltale Marvel Studios Guardians of the Galaxy game. I think 2 episodes of that is out, if you want to check that out as well. You can, and the cool thing about Telltale games, you can play them on your phone, your console, you can computer. They have it on every platform. So just check if you want to check out any of the games. Just check your if you're on console, check your console store. If you're on phone, on mobile, check your the mobile store and do a search for them. Or if you're on PC, if you're on Mac, just do the app store, and you'll find it there. On your phone, the app store, just do a search and you'll find it there. It's on every platform. That's the cool thing about their games as well. But they're really fun, and I'm going to dive into it a little bit more in a video later this week on the YouTube channel to give you more info if you're not familiar with Telltale Games and the kind of games they put out, because they've done a lot to advance the quality of comic book games, video games all the way around. So I definitely will talk about that in some more detail. I just want to give a shout out to someone as well, because I'm going to get a little personal here, because it relates and pertains to the show. sometimes it's tough as a content creator. I get frustrated with sometimes I don't get the feedback or I don't get as much interaction from you guys as I want. It's not more so that it's motivation for me to continue to do the show. It's just that I like interacting with the people that listen to the show. That was what the premise that when I first started, when I didn't have the confidence to get behind a microphone or get in front of a camera to make content, when I started this podcast, it was I didn't have a lot of friends around me that were into comics. It was because of my work and school and everything. It was harder and harder for me to go to the comic book shop and talk to other comic book, nerds about comics. And this was a thing that was up and coming podcasting, and I decided to do it based on my love of comics, and also I was concerned about that African Americans weren't represented enough in the podcasting sphere. When I listened to him, it was Derek over at Comic Book Noise, and that was really it. Now he was the only other African American guy at that time that was doing a podcast about comic books, and wanted to help expand that, but it was really had nothing to do with race. It was a motivation, but once I did it, it's weird that we talk about diversity and race in comics, but as comic book fans, we don't have that kind of separation. If you love comics, color, race, sex, gender, none of that plays any part in it as so I can say this right, as us as comic fans getting tongue-tied and how we portray one another. Everyone is so accepting in the comic book community. So in which I, found out, but it was one of my motivations that I felt like I'm not represented a lot in what I'm seeing and what I'm listening to in that sphere. And I wanted to be that voice, and add to that legacy, which now is tons. You have females doing comic book related podcasts. You have so many different people. It's opened it up so widely, which is so cool, and we all accept and all listen to it. But that was like one of my baseline motivations going in. That was really it. I don't like the sound of my own voice. I could probably tell you in 11 years and almost 350 episodes of this show and me creating 2 other podcasts and me probably producing roughly somewhere close to 1,000, probably about 1,000 different podcasts, are being related to about 1,000 different episodes over that span of time. I probably can count on my 2 hands the amount of times that I listen to myself back. I edit the show, I put it out. So the feedback I got for you guys didn't motivate me as much as it confirmed for me so much. And I met cool people, and I met people that are lifelong friends that I met from the community of this show over the years that I've done this show. And one of the people, he was the first person I ever met, and that was a listener when I thought no one was listening to my show. It was Ed Moore. And Ed has been so supportive from day one of the show to day whatever this is of the show. And he always retweets stuff out, shares when I have contests. Like he will register and that, the whole nine. And he's been a heaven send to me. And, for that, because he's just still a diehard. He's a friend more than anything else. It goes through him being a fan or a listener. He's been family to me, through it all, and hopefully I've been the same to him. And I've just reconnected recently to some of the core people that was in the community early on, and it just made me think. Sometimes with the newer listeners to the show, I know when I check out numbers and stuff like that, and I get likes that you guys are out there, but I don't get to interact with you. That's why I recently made the discussion group on Facebook for that reason, to give you guys a place so I can get to know you guys, because it's a shared process. The comics I read now were the comics I read 11 years ago when I started the show. It was based on recommendations that I got from the community and the listeners, like, hey, James, check this book out. And I miss that at times because I don't get that interaction. That's why I try to get on social media, and I try to make myself as readily available to you guys as possible if you want to reach out. I know everyone has lives and they're busy. Whatever you do in support of the show, like, the likes, if you send the reviews on iTunes, that was cool. Like the review we recently got. It's been years since I last got a review, and it was funny because the one time I didn't check is when I got one, and I went back later and found out that he left a review, and you heard it. I read it a couple episodes back on the show. That's cool. That lets me know that you're out there and what you think of the show. And, like I said, it helps me know what direction to go. Because, I do it for myself, but I do it as much as for you guys as well. Because I don't know how many recommendations that I put out there that you actually follow through and you enjoy. So drop a line and let me know, like, hey, you reviewed so-and-so book. I tried it. I had when I did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle review on the YouTube channel, I got a comment about it that someone said they were on the fence, and me doing that review helped tip them to try that book. Those are the kind of things and the feedback that I long and that I want from you guys, to let me know, like, are you liking the stuff that I'm covering? You know what I mean? Like, I want to talk about stuff that my hope is, in whatever I cover and whatever I talk about, there are things that I like that I hope that maybe if you haven't tried it, because that's what the basis of the show was about. It's about my journey on comics, and I was very closed-minded. When I started the show, all I had ever read was pretty much Marvel and DC with some Image. I read so many different comics from so many different publishers now, and over the years, it's because of the community and the recommendations that I gave to you guys, and then in turn you gave to me, that opened up a whole new world of comics. And my whole thing is to open up a whole new world of comics and comic media, and even now with games, because games are so great with the ones that are based on comics and so fun. I hope that I'm exposing you to stuff that helps you broaden your horizons, and that I can give that to you. So, I was kind of going through a crisis of faith of what I was doing, and am I doing it right? Is it what you guys are enjoying? That I'm talking about. And he was there to kind of, pep me up, and some of the other people, my friend Heath Holland. If you have a moment, check out his YouTube channel. It is Serial. Hold on, let me pull it back up. I am subscribed to him. Serial at Midnight. If you do a search on YouTube, he has some content, which is awesome. He has a website as well, serialatmidnight.com. He's doing some great stuff. Check out my boy Ed. I've spotlighted him before. He does a ton of different podcasts. He does a Thor cast. He does a Star Wars related. I spotlighted them, and they should be in the links on the website. If you go to comicbooksavant.com, and you go to links, you should have some links to it, and if not, I will add some under there. I have some of my friends in podcast, casting, and links to their sites as well. And that's one place you can always go and look to. If you something that I recommended and you can't remember it and can't find it, the site is there to be a resource. Everything that you need to know in relation to the show, people that I love and I support that are in the podcasting realm, you will find there. I have everything listed from all the previous episodes to about. I have a picture gallery. I got all the links for you to subscribe to the show on the various platforms, to contact me if you want to support the show. I have the Patreon link. I even have, if you just want to, do a one-time support, because Patreon, I know for some people, it's like an ongoing commitment type thing. If you just want to do a one-time, hey, let me send you $1 or send you $2. Yeah, I have under donate, I have a PayPal one-time where you can make a one-time donation. All that kind of stuff is there. And other ways you can support the show by leaving iTunes reviews, sharing the content, dropping a line. I have a page up here now for Patreon backers. I only got one at this point. But if you go to Patreon and you support the show, I've said it in the past before, if you have the money, it helps add to the quality of the show and keep building the show up. All I ask is if you could donate $1 a month. It's patreon.com/comic book savant. When I get more supporters, I will put out specific content. I'll put out an extra audio episode after I hit so many Patreons, where I'll do a Patreon specific episode. That'll be an extra episode each month that I'll do for Patreons that support the show. Then you're listed on the site as a Patreon backer. I have a page set up for that. Then I got the Facebook group as well. I got the Facebook Comic Book Savant Facebook page, and then I have a separate discussion group that's just a discussion group that you can join as well. All that stuff I have links to, so definitely definitely check it out. So I try to make everything readily available, all in that one hub for you to get to. But I'll have links to my friend Heath Holland, his YouTube channel. I'll have links to the different podcasts that Ed is doing as well. But it's the love that I get from you guys, that energizes me, because I have rough days like everyone else. So that nothing is more uplifting is when I hear from you guys and you let me know one way or another how you feel about the content that I put the effort into, and like I said, it just energizes me even more. And make me know that I'm making good choices. I'm on the right track, that someone out there is enjoying it as much as I enjoy bringing it to you guys. But that's all. I've talked enough. I've talked your ear off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We're coming up on the 11-year anniversary. And like I said, it just boggles my mind that for someone that doesn't, I was definitely afraid of talking in front of people and talking in front of a microphone. And it was so hard when I started this, that I've been doing it for 11 years and this many episodes. I have surpassed my wildest dreams and expectations at this point in what I'm doing, and I owe that all to you guys. But again, that's all I have for you guys this week. Be on the lookout on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/comic book savant. I'll be dropping a video. Today's Tuesday when you get this episode. Hopefully I should have the video up no later than Thursday. I'm looking to probably shoot that video tomorrow and get that edited up and out by Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. Again, follow me on all the social media. You'll get updates when those episodes drop. And just subscribe to the channel on YouTube. When you go to youtube.com/comic book savant, click subscribe, click the little bell notification. As soon as the video drops, you'll get notified that it is live. And that's all I have for you guys this week. I'll see you next week with another episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys have a good week and take care.
And into lyrical wholeness. And I know this, and I know this. This I know, this I know.